Unless you've been living on a secluded island that only allows golf carts, you've very likely seen plenty of both of these vehicles around, the Honda Pilot and the Honda CR-V.
That's right, they are two of the most popular vehicles on sale today, and they've been mainstays in Honda's lineup for more than 2 decades. So chances are, if you're thinking about buying a Honda SUV, you're thinking about one of these two.
I drove here today in this, the Honda Pilot Trail Sport. It's all new for 2023, as is the entire Pilot lineup. It's got a new interior, more power, and more rugged looks. I mean, check out this grille, the wheels. We can see that it appears bigger than the old Pilot, but it's not bloated. It's stronger looking and more truck-like.
Yeah, it's definitely more assertive, and I also like the look of this, the all-new 2023 Honda CR-V. Truth be told, I never really liked the look of the old Honda CR-V, at least not since the first and second generation models with their swing-out tailgate. But this one, I mean, this is downright stylish. If Toyota is taking kind of a adventure grade approach with the new RAV4, well, this is taking more of an Audi approach. I mean, I think this looks upscale and sophisticated.
I think that's very fair, but Matt, it has to be said, as our eagle-eyed viewers will have spotted, and some of them are even now heading to their keyboards to let us know, these are not exactly direct competitors, even if we take size out of the equation, right?
No, they're not. And that is a Pilot, and this is a Honda CR-V, but they are totally different trim levels, and they're designed for pretty different customers.
Right, this is the Trail Sport, and the color is a dead giveaway. You can only get this diffused sky blue on this trim of the Pilot. So the Trail Sport is meant for adventure, whereas this, the CR-V Hybrid Sport Touring, has other purposes.
But strip out all of the off-road bits on the Pilot that you can't get on the Honda CR-V, and strip out all of the hybrid bits that you have on this CR-V, but you can't get on a Pilot, and you still have two very popular vehicles that a lot of people are debating between. So these are the vehicles that we were able to source for this comparison, and we're gonna do our best to show you all the things that the Pilot does really well and all the things that the Honda CR-V does really well, and then you will have the tools to determine which one best suits your needs and your lifestyle.
That's what we're here for. Please make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you don't miss a thing. And let's start with the interior, and we'll try to give you folks a sense of what it's like to spend time inside each of these vehicles. Honda has done a really nice job of applying a consistent, cohesive design language across all of its new and recently redesigned vehicles. So even though we don't have that honeycomb grille that we've seen in the new Accord and Civic and CR-V, this is still very obviously a current Honda. We've got a lot of familiar elements here, like this 9-inch touchscreen perched atop the dash. We've got the 3 climate control knobs. The gauge cluster is basically identical to the one that Matt has in the CR-V, and then we've got this wireless charging pad, available wireless charging pad in the little cubby. Pretty similar, just a little bit bigger in the Pilot because of course this is a larger vehicle. The one thing that's different here is the gear selector. So the CR-V has the lever style. We've got the push button transmission in the Pilot. Personally, I prefer the lever, but I'm just a little old fashioned.
Wow, I mean, really leaving a lot for me to talk about. Well, yes, the CR-V, it does get this honeycomb mesh design on the dash. It goes all the way across, and I really, really like this. But otherwise, this is pretty much the same environment that Natalie just walked you through in the Pilot. We have the same gauge cluster, the same touch screen, same HVAC controls, wireless charging pad. It's all the same. Now, because of the different shifter designs, I have these 2 cup holders side by side back here, whereas the button shifter in the Pilot allows for cup holders in tandem up here. I actually prefer the tandem cup holders. Maybe I'm being a little pedantic. So let us know what you think in the comments section below. Would you rather have the better cup holders and the button shifter, or is the trusty lever worth the compromise?
Now, Honda really loaned us some nice crossovers, as is evidenced by the materials. So, Matt, what do you think of the leather upholstery?
I mean, it's really good, and not just because we are in the top tier trim. Even if you strip out the leather upholstery in these cars, the design really works. It's clean and conventional. It just works. So something like a Kia Sportage can sometimes feel a little bit busy. This feels really classic, really upscale.
And comfortable.
It is comfortable, even in the back seat. The CR-V is the smaller of the two vehicles, so it gets only 2 rows of seats, whereas the Pilot has 3. This new CR-V is a touch longer than the old one, and that translates to more interior space.
Legroom is good, so good, in fact, that 2 people over 6 feet tall can sit in tandem, one behind the other, comfortably. You're gonna have to take my word for it because Matt is close to 6 feet tall. I am nowhere near, but I can tell you this is plenty of legroom, as much as I could possibly want.
Trunk space also improves in the new 2023 Honda CR-V Hybrid. You now get 36.3 cubic feet of cargo space behind the second row, and if I fold that row down, it expands to 76.5 cubic feet. That number is more than you get in a new Toyota RAV4 Hybrid or a new Kia Sportage Hybrid.
Chances are good that if you've got more than a couple of kids or a couple of dogs, you're probably leaning towards the Pilot, at least if you're shopping in the US.
Right, because in the US, it's a big country, we like big cars. And speaking of big versus small, I was happy to try out the back seat of Mazda CX-30, that little subcompact crossover we compared with the Mazda CX-50. You can watch that review on the CarGurus YouTube channel, but with this one, and given our differences in height, maybe you could try out the third row?
Sure, happy to. Now, as I pass through the second row, I'm just gonna let you know it's got 40.8 inches of legroom, same as the 2023 Honda Accord. Heading back to the third row, really still not bad back here. I could use a little more thigh support. These seats are a little shallow and a little lackluster in terms of padding, but for legroom, I've got 32.5 inches. That's plenty for me.
With few exceptions, adults are pretty much always gonna feel really cramped sitting in the third row of a 3-row crossover like this one. Now it is great for kids, and you can pretty easily fold that third row down to get yourself a little extra cargo space. In the Pilot, you get 22.4 cubic feet of cargo space behind the third row, but that number grows to 60.1 cubic feet when you fold down the third row.
I really like the hidden storage space underneath this flat floor here. I love how easy it is to get those third row seats up and down. If you fold down the second row seats, you've got 114.3 cubic feet of storage space, which is plenty. Now, Matt, we've done a lot of talking. Some of us have done a lot of sitting.
But neither of us have done a lot of driving.
Neither of us have done a lot of driving.
Well, we can remedy that. Which one do you want? Pilot, CR-V?
I've already spent a decent amount of seat time, on-camera seat time in the CR-V. Check out my review elsewhere on this channel, so I would take the Pilot.
Okay, but I'm going first.
All right.
Hybrids used to be slow and they used to be boring, but now, believe it or not, hybrid powertrains have sort of become the go-to option when you're trying to blend efficiency with performance.
True, yeah, Toyota really made some noise when the RAV4 hybrid showed up with more power than the gas-only version. The same is true of the CR-V. If you want more power, more torque, and more fuel efficiency, you're gonna wanna go with the CR-V hybrid.
Yeah, so specifically we have 204 horsepower, 247 pound-feet of torque, as compared to 190 horses and 179 pound-feet in the all-gas CR-V. Now, our top-tier sport touring trim has all-wheel drive. It comes standard on this one, but all-wheel drive is available on all trim levels of the CR-V.
So what about the steering and the braking? What do you think of those?
Well, the steering, so hold on, we bend into a corner right here, and then we'll do a quick little loop around.
The
steering
demo.
It's astonishingly light, and it's not actually that communicative, but it's very easy to drive. It's a very peaceful, comfortable car, and the brakes are great. I mean, there's no squishiness, there's no grabbiness. I also really like that Honda has incorporated a B mode into the CR-V Hybrid's braking system. So you can actually see the energy capture on the power flow screen on the center stack here.
That's right, so even though it's not an EV or even a PHEV, a plug-in hybrid, the CR-V hybrid does still have regenerative braking, so it is feeding some power back into the battery for improved fuel economy.
Yeah, and I mean, all in all, This is a comfortable car. It's really easy to drive, particularly around town, but it is smaller than the Pilot, so I suspect that is going to be a bit of a different story. Should we give that a try?
Let's do it.
All right.
So Matt, you mentioned that the CR-V is very manageable, even in tight spaces, right?
Absolutely.
I would say the Pilot also has very light steering. Actually, the kind of steering that you might hear referred to as over-boosted, which sounds like a negative, maybe is a negative, but it does have the effect of making this feel smaller than it actually is.
Sure, yeah, I can see, big car, light steering, that could be a positive. But it is a big car. This is both longer and wider than a Toyota Highlander.
Yes, and it's actually 3 inches longer than the old Pilot as well, but I would not say that it feels unwieldy.
Oh no, I mean, it feels pretty comfortable from where I'm sitting.
Yeah, it's a nice, comfortable ride, and we have to imagine it would be even more comfortable if we were in a trim that was not meant to be rugged. But in spite of that nice soft suspension, it's not so soft that you're getting a lot of residual bouncing over bumps. It's kind of one and done, which is a very good thing.
Yeah.
Now, the 10-speed transmission, I will say, is a little clunky when you first turn the vehicle on, but that smooths out pretty quickly as it warms up, and overall, it's a nice, manageable, easy-to-drive car.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I don't feel like I'm riding along on a boat like you can feel in some larger 3-row crossovers. It just feels like a pretty comfortable, well-composed vehicle. Now, a lot of folks who are in the market for a car like this, they are as interested in test driving the tech as they are test driving the powertrain.
True.
So let's hop into the CR-V and we'll take a look at Honda's tech offering.
Sounds good.
These cars have stunningly similar tech setups, so let's hit the key points. This 9-inch color touchscreen is standard on the Hybrid EXL and the Sport Touring trims, but the non-hybrid models and the Hybrid Sport, they make do with a less impressive 7-inch unit. Now, if you get the Pilot, all you have to do is get an EXL trim or above, and you get the 9-inch screen. The multicolored design makes it really easy to distinguish between the various icons. Now, similarly, the volume knob and these physical tuning buttons are a godsend, and anybody who has driven a car that doesn't have those knows what I'm talking about. Now, Honda did throw a little bit of a monkey wrench into the usual trim powertrain combination formula for the 2023 CR-V. What I mean is that if you want a hybrid, well, you're now locked into buying a more expensive trim, and that does mean a higher price tag, but it also means more features. There are plenty of USB ports, there's dual zone climate control, heated mirrors, heated front seats, all standard, and our Sport Touring model also gets a 12-speaker Bose stereo, driver's seat memory, a heated steering wheel, and wireless connectivity for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
My Pilot Trail Sport has all of those features, but because this is the off-road oriented trim, it also has a few things that are dedicated specifically to dirt driving, like the Trail Watch camera system. That gives us multiple high-resolution views of our surroundings. And we also have an extra drive mode called Trail. There it is, which senses wheel slip and redistributes the torque to keep you moving forward. But if you are looking at the Pilot purely as a family hauler, just because you need a little more space, probably all that you need to know is that in terms of tech offerings, there's nothing here you can't get in the CR-V and vice versa.
Okay, how about safety?
Well, they're both very well equipped. The Honda suite of advanced driver assistance systems called Honda Sensing is standard on both vehicles.
Yeah, and that actually includes quite a lot of stuff. Automatic emergency braking, lane keeping assist, traffic sign recognition, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring.
Well, quick note about blind spot monitoring. It's available on all but the base trim of the CR-V, but it's standard on all but the base trim of the Pilot.
And that is a really good call out. So I guess the Pilot wins on safety and probably has more airbags too, right?
Well, yes, but I should hope so because it fits more people, so I'm gonna need more airbags for those extra people.
The 2023 Honda CR-V starts at $29,705, including destination. But you have to bump that price up to $34,205 if you want the more efficient and more satisfying hybrid powertrain. Now on top of that, you'll add $1,500 to any trim level to get all-wheel drive, except for the top trim where it comes standard.
For the 2023 Honda Pilot, base price is $37,295. That does include destination. All-wheel drive is a $2,100 premium on the Pilot lineup, but it is standard with the Trail Sport and the Elite trims.
As we've discussed, these two vehicles have a lot in common. They have very similar interiors, very similar tech and safety features, and they even have very similar driving dynamics.
Yeah, so unless you know that you really want a hybrid powertrain, which will tip the scales in the direction of a CR-V, or you really want that extra terrain capability of the Pilot, it's probably going to be a choice about size. How many people and how much gear are you typically carting around? That's what you're going to want to think about.
Other than that, these are both great choices. They just suit different needs. So let us know in the comments section below which one you would pick.
Please make sure you're subscribed while you're at it, and if you want to go further in depth on either of these models, we do have full single reviews of each. And of course, check back soon. We will be driving something else next week.